In section 3, we start looking at congruent triangles. So we're going to look at naming corresponding parts of congruent polygons, and then we'll look at proving triangles congruent using the definition of congruent polygons. So what is congruence, and what is congruence in terms of polygons? Congruence is two geometric figures that have exactly the same size and shape. So when we look at congruent polygons, all the parts of one polygon are equal to the parts of the other polygon. When we match up those corresponding parts, or those matching parts of congruent polygons, we call those corresponding parts. So when I find a congruent angle in one triangle to another triangle, or polygon to another polygon, we're going to call those corresponding parts. The main thing that I'm after out of congruent polygons is being able to write what we call a congruent statement. This congruent statement matches up all the corresponding parts. So if we look at the congruent statement with our picture over here, we should be able to match up and say that angle A is congruent to angle H. You can see that here. A is congruent to H. B is also congruent to J because they're in the middle. B congruent to J. And then angle C is congruent to angle K, and you can see that as well in the picture. Likewise, it matches up the congruent sides. So when I'm talking about segment AB, we know that that's congruent to segment HJ. And you can see that in your picture. AB has the same number of tick marks as HJ. So I'm going to ask us to write our congruent statement given a polygon in example 1. So show that the polygons are congruent by identifying all the congruent corresponding parts. I'm not really going to ask you to do that. I'm more concerned about, can we write a congruent statement? You can start out any way that you want. You can start with either polygon, doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that your points go around in an order. So I'm going to say, let's start with quadrilateral S, P, Q, R. It is congruent to quadrilateral. I need to match S with its corresponding part on the other polygon. So S has 4 angle marks, so D has to go first. Then I need P. P had 1, so G has to go with that. Then Q. Q has 2. F has 2. And then finally, the last one, R, is going to go with E. And that's how you would write a congruent statement.